are listening to The Story Points, a podcast where the worlds of product and engineering converge to delve into topics that resonate with us in our daily professional lives.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Story Points. We usually deep dive into tech and product strategies, but today we're switching gears to talk about something equally important: health and fitness. I'm PK, and joining me as a co-host is Roopak. And we have Niraj here, who's going to share his personal health journey with us.
Awesome. Thanks, PK. And it feels really great to be back. I know I've been back after, 1.5 years. We met, but we didn't get a chance to record. But finally we are here. We're back to the routine. Awesome. And today we're drawing some interesting parallels between our work, which is in product and tech, and something equally important, like PK said, health and fitness. And given that Niraj recently has gone through crazy transformation, we want him to share his journey with us. So Niraj, why don't you start with telling us how you realized that you need to change something?
First of all, thanks PK and Roopak, and welcome Roopak. It's good to see you next to me.
Thank you.
And it all started when I actually moved from my college life to a desk job, right? My college life was more like, playing football, cricket, because I was in Mumbai, so traveling in local trains was also very much of energetic in that way. And when I started my desk job, I found myself feeling less energetic, gradually gaining weight, because you just sit at one place and just operate your computer, laptop, right? And it became clear that I need to make a change, much like when a project starts, to deviate from its intended goals.
Cool. That sounds great. So this reminds me of a parallel of troubleshooting in tech, right? So in tech, like, we get issues, we troubleshoot them, we debug them, and we figure out what needs to be done, what needs to be fixed. So what was the first step you took to get things back on the track?
So I knew one thing for sure, that I don't want to go into a lifestyle where it becomes very much of pressure that you have to continue this. I wanted a lifestyle which was more like, energetic, because I was into sports. I wanted to start with sports. So that's why I started playing badminton. I committed myself to commit to it's to go to 4 to 5 days in a week and just enjoy it, because that was my motivation, because I just wanted to burn calories, get sweat, and that was the thing what I wanted to do. But slowly I started realizing my sleep got better and I felt natural and sustainable. In many ways it was like rolling out a small update rather than a major overhaul.
Ooh, I like that analogy. A small, steady update. In product work, we know that, setbacks are a part of the process. But how did you deal with that when things did not go in your plan?
That's exactly what happened with my plan as well. The moment I got into routine playing badminton for a couple of months, I would say, I felt I got jinxed, and I had a major bump when I injured my hand and suffered a hairline fracture. And that initially let me down, because doctors said you cannot play any more badminton, at least for the next 6 months. And I was like, I had a setback that time. But then I switched my focus. If I cannot play something like badminton, which was consuming my upper body, I can still use my lower body. And that was like running. So I started small. I started again going to gym, which was in my apartment, which had a treadmill. And I started running on the treadmill. And started slow, slow walk, and then going on a little bit of speed, having some inclination in the treadmill. So that basically gave me again a boost. And that started my journey. And then I also revamped on my diet, because now you're in a stage where you're doing some activity and you're still consuming the old thing. So I wanted to make the change on that as well. And I started reading a book which was provided one of my senior leader. And that book gave me an idea or perspective of what is it all about? Like, what happens when you eat? Like, when I eat a bread, or when I eat let's say a roti or rice, what exactly happens? So that was something pivoted me to understand the science behind the food. Like, people say that, I'm going on a diet, but what exactly happens on that diet?
I can 100% confirm that Niraj is a Guju, and you know how much Gujus love their food. So it must have been a pretty hard one for you.
Yeah.
True.
And I really liked three things, three key points which I heard just from you. One is that fitness is more like a process, and you will more often than not thrown out of track by things maybe which are not in your control. But you have to make sure that how do you bring yourself back to the process, right? And similar thing happens in product as well. We try something, we usually fail, we anticipate things, they don't happen, and we take pivots, we figure out something else, we try that out and it works, and users maybe like it. So that's a good thing, Niraj. And second thing is about knowing the depths, right? Like you said, you read a book and it gave you much more insights. Everybody knows that maybe they have to have protein, or something is better to eat than the other thing. But what is really important is to know how to balance it off. You can't say no to something always, right? You go to a friend's place, you can't say no, okay, I'll not eat it. You have to eat it, but then how do you balance it off with something else? That's really important. I really liked it. And the third thing is tools, right? You mentioned tech played a major role in your journey. Did you?
So before we get Niraj onto the tech aspects of how the tech enabled or assisted him, I think two things that I'd want to talk about is one, the whole idea of small changes, right? And pivoting, which you also talked about, which is very relevant in the product world. But from whatever I have seen, playing a little bit of sport and being a little bit into the fitness journey myself, sometimes these very, very micro iterations make a huge difference at the end of the day. It could be like, for example, it could be like, if you if you are following cricket and you're talking about Virat Kohli and how he's, always getting out, trying to play on the fifth stump or the sixth stump, it could be a very, very minor change that he would do in terms of okay, I'm not going to go, put my front foot forward in the first few initial moments. I'm going to take the back foot. So these micro changes will have a big impact. Similarly, when you're like, for example, trying to run, then you will have these iterations where you want to just improve by that 1 30-second improvement. Then you'll probably do a major improvement. And over a period of time, you'll see that actually balloon into a nice race time finish.
That's true, PK. And before you mention that, I also want to talk about like how I got into running. Like PK has been doing running for almost like 2 years now, right?
On and off, yes.
Yeah. And that kind of gave me a hint that, why can't I run? I was always used to run like, in Mumbai when I was studying and playing badminton, football, cricket and whatnot. That kind of gave me motivation. Another important factor is also about the people around you. So this last 2 to 3 years, what I've seen, like people around me has been very much changed. Like they have changed my mind because I see them running marathons and like, going for cycling. Like Shri and Venki, who are my senior leaders, actually cycled all the way from Bangalore to Ooty. That's not a small journey. Like PK is going for trekking, like, Uttarakhand and all the northern side. He's doing with his wife. And that also motivated me that, this is something I can also do. Again, I don't want to do the same thing. But what is important, like the people around me are actually doing something which is kind of motivating me. So it's like, like if people around you are smoking, you will also become a smoker. But people around you are actually becoming healthy or looking at changing of a lifestyle, you will also adapt that. So that was also a big change for me.
Right. So I think both of you drew parallels from Atomic Habits book, which is like really nice. What Niraj mentioned comes from motivation is overrated. Environment often matters.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really important. And should we move on to discussing the tech aspect? I'm really excited about Niraj speak about this.
Yes.
Awesome.
Let's do that.
So all these things which were happening around me, that's one thing. But it's also important that, you get some small booster in your daily life. Like, you have to wake up at 6 a.m. Why you want to wake up at 6 a.m.? And that's when I started using an Apple Watch, which actually started tracking my activity. Apple, again, I'm not saying that Apple or Android or whatever it is, but generally these watches gives you a small booster. So I used to get these notifications that there are 3 rings, you have not completed that yesterday. Why don't you try it today? And those small things actually keeps you motivated that no, I want to do it today. It's not a big thing also. Like my rings are like, do 30-minute exercise. Like I can do that. And if I fail to do that, that's not a great thing. So these small tech which happened, it was a magic fix. And it definitely gave me an extra push when I needed. But Roopak, coming to that, I also know that you're also using a watch and you were mentioning about your sleep tracking. How was your experience?
Yeah, actually, I never intended to track anything, but one day Samsung made an update and I got a notification that my resting heart rate has improved, and that intrigued me. Like, what is this? I haven't looked into this metric earlier, and um, looks like a resting heart rate basically is your heartbeat per minute at rest, right, while you're sleeping. And the lower it is, the more athletic your heart or your body is. And the whole idea is that your body is more in a recovery mode while you're at rest. And generally athletes who are like pro athletes, they have their resting heart rate around 45 to 50, like pro athletes. And anybody who works out, right, a usual person like us would have it probably around 60 or less. And for general people, it's between 60 and 80. So that was some information. Given that we are tech people, we like diving deep into stuff.
Metrics.
Exactly. So this motivated me that, hey, I want to probably improve this. Led me to read about how to improve it, come up with some strategies. There is a strategy where, the whole idea is to make sure your body can process oxygen better. So you do some HIITs, you do like a sprint and then a small jog. So things like that, they kind of improve it. And the added benefit is you get better sleep as well.
So this is the VO2 max metric that we're talking about here. The amount of oxygen your blood can sort of
Exactly.
process.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'd want to share an interesting thing about tech and how it sort of it kind of got me thinking. Like Niraj mentioned, I've been trying to run, and at some point I felt like I need to start measuring my time a little bit more accurately than using a Strava, which I'm not saying is inaccurate, but it just felt like I probably needed something. I was very tempted to try out a watch, like a smartwatch, right? So I got this Garmin device, and I started sort of tracking. It was helpful and all of that, which is good, which is great. Then I went for this trek to the base of Mount Annapurna, which was a 10-day trek. And I was very excited about carrying my Garmin and tracking everything and looking at it. On my first day of the trek, we were about 8 hours of trekking, hiking, whatever. And my watch said, "Oh, you've burnt like 4,000 calories, or 2,500, 3,000 calories, and blah, 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 blah." I said, "Fantastic, this is good." And then I slept in the morning. I was wearing my watch. Next day morning, I'd slept for a good 9-10 hours. But next day morning, my Garmin said, "Poor recovery. Your recovery time is like 72 hours from now."
Oh.
Now, I am in that trek.
Right.
And every single day, my Garmin is like, after every day of trekking, my watch would say, "Recovery time is 92 hours. I'm like, I don't have that kind of time. So it was very, this got me to think that while the tech is enabling you, at the same time, you also need to bear in mind how you feel about your body. And every day, although my watch said, "Oh, this is not ideal for you," I did not feel any discomfort while I was walking or while I was doing the trek. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying you should do it all the time, but I think you need to listen to your body. And it's also not that one size fits all, right? So you need to figure out what is working for you and what what is it that your body is wanting. And a lot of times you really need to pay close attention to your body to, process those cues and signals. And generally, the kind of jobs that we are in, the kind of work that we are doing, doesn't allow you that kind of slowness to understand what your body is trying to tell you. So I think this is a segue into all the mindfulness and meditation and all of that, but we will not fall into that trap. Anyway, moving on. I think the question, Niraj, that I'd want you to think about is, because we know that one size does not fit all. Now, in your iterations and pivots that you did, you've told us how it's impacted you and all of that. But how did it like change your lifestyle? We know you were energetic, you were more energetic and all that. But what are some of the other things that happened because of all the stuff you were doing?
So the changes, like the overall changes, what I started seeing, that was majorly focused on the lifestyle. Like because I started reading this book, so I understood the concept of calorie. So I got into that zone that, if I want to eat a pizza, if I eat the entire pizza, I might have to skip the other meals, because again, it's all about calories in a way, right? So if my body can consume X calorie, I don't want to make it X square. So that change has been really positive. And another thing what I did, I stopped focusing on numbers. Like I stopped going on the weigh scale to see what is my weight. The numbers are kind of also misleading a lot of times, because that was not my focus at all. And
I disagree. I disagree to the statement that you just said. I was on a vacation last week and I got notifications every 2 hours saying Niraj completed a workout. Niraj went for a walk. Niraj went for a whatever run. Niraj went for a cycle.
Yeah.
Niraj did an indoor treadmill. I don't think you
Probably
definitely...
Niraj is hyper obsessed with fitness
No. So the thing is that, again, when I say number, my focus was on doing some workouts, not tracking that am I doing 59 minutes or am I doing 50 minutes.
Right.
And not going after that, I'm not going to a weigh scale to see have I reduced 1 kg or 2 kg. So that was not my focus. Regarding the notifications, you have to talk to Apple for that, because you also use an Apple device and we likely shared our fitness, because when you also yesterday went for a run, I also got the similar notification that PK did this run. So yeah, so moving on, so this thing has already given me a positive outlook. And what also happened in a side effect way I would say is, like, my wife started doing the same thing. Like she joined me in this particular journey where she also started changing her habit. She got into running, and again, she's not a person who will go to a gym and do a workout, but she started liking that, I got when I ran a marathon, not a marathon, but when I ran a 10K and I got a medal, and she's like, I can also do that. And she also got into it. And she's nowadays into running. She does some HIT at home. And that again did another effect to my son, who is 5-year-old. And again, he's not doing all these things, but he joins me in the gym workout and he just observes me. And we started doing planks together. Like we did a plank challenge, like, he started liking it. And now he also talks about, like, this is calorie, this is junk food, this is protein. So his language has also changed. And that has also become more like, this turns out to be more like a family project where every small improvement added up, much like the iterative process we strive for in our tech projects, right?
Exactly. And abs coming up for Niraj and Yuvain soon.
Cool. So I think
Great.
it's a good, it's a good takeaway in terms of how one is the environment, which inspires you to kind of do new things. The other is the effect that you have on the people who are around you. So I think it's wonderful that both of these came together, which is fantastic.
Yes, and it's a win-win, right? So Niraj created an environment for his family as well as for himself. So now he knows that all of the people around him are going to take healthy choices. So that's great.
So what is Neeraj, what is it that you think is the biggest lesson from your health journey, which our tech listeners can take away from?
So for me, the biggest lesson for this progress is all about consistency. Like, you have to be consistent. You can't just say that, I'm going to go for a 7-day crash diet or a workout, and then the 8th day you're back to your normal routine. That doesn't work out. Start a small thing. Don't do extreme at all. Like, if you just want to run 5K steps a day, that can be a small start. But just be consistent with that. Just don't say that, I'm going to run 5K every day, but the 8th day you're again not doing anything. So consistency is the key over here. And whether you're refining a product or building healthier habits, right? The key is always to start small. Like, that's what we always do in our work life, right? We always start for the small, the MVP, the sprint zero, the thinner slice. That's what we do. And another thing is monitor your progress. Again, I'm not saying monitoring works for everyone. Like, my wife doesn't do monitoring at all. She doesn't even care that she's going to run 5K or she's going to run 3K. She's just like, I have 30 minutes, let me go just out. She doesn't wear any watch. She doesn't carry a phone, nothing. So that works for her. But for me, I want the monitoring aspect. So again, this is like, one size doesn't fit all. So that's the concept over here. And it's not about perfection at all. Like, you can be slow initially. You don't need to complete a 5K run within 30 minutes or 40 minutes. You can take 1 hour also. But the idea is to be consistent. So that's the game which worked for me.
That's a great takeaway.
I also want to add one thing which probably I think works really well is so in bodybuilding or any lifting sport in CrossFit, we follow this thing of progressive overload. So what monitoring brings to you really is that how your capacity has improved, right? And like Niraj said, you don't have to monitor things, but what you should definitely strive for is that, hey, I was lifting 50 kg last week in deadlift. I should lift probably 55 in the next week. I'm not saying go from 50 to 80 or 100, but yeah, progressive overload, like slowly increase your capacity so that you're actually, you are gaining, you're improving, right? And that's really important. And this is something we follow in tech as well as product as well. So we always strive to refactor our code, right? And that's the idea is we want to improve the quality of our code base. We always strive to add new features to our product.
Yep.
So yeah.
So it's interesting how you position that statement, because it's a case of, does life inspire art or does art inspire life? In this case, tech has probably taken a lot of practices from life or other walks of life, and not the other way, but we are looking at it from the other way today, because we're talking about tech and trying to draw parallels in what can be relevant in the fitness journey, whereas in reality it's probably the other way around, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, very, very interesting and different perspective that we've all got together. Fantastic.
Awesome. That's a wrap in today's episode of the Story Points. And today we talked about from desk to track, Niraj's journey of iterative path to wellness. And it was great having both of you here. We were finally here after a long time. It was nice discussing health and fitness with you guys. So until next time, keep iterating and improving, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.